you can carry on using the template that you were working on before. If not, browse to your Chapter 6 folder and open up the file Chapter 6 Diffuser Modeling. On the Create tab, you can see that we have a panel called Forms. In this exercise, we're going to use two forms, the extrusion and the blend. Let's start with the extrusion. I need to create a sketch, and the whole purpose of creating the reference planes was so that we can lock our sketch to the reference planes. I can draw this sketch in any way I like. I can draw it using a line, using a rectangle, or by picking lines. The important thing here is that those lines are then locked to the reference planes. So at this point, I'm going to use the rectangle, and I'm going to go from one intersection to the next. You can now see that we have padlocks that we need to lock in place for the sketch. In the project arena, where I talk about constraints, constraints are not critical for the operation of your Revit project. However, for a Revit family to work, they're crucial, and you must always remember to constrain your objects correctly. Now that I've created my sketch, I can click on Finish. And if I go to a 3D view, you can see that we now have a box, indicative of a diffuser. Before I go anywhere with it, I want to test that it works. Before we do that, I'll go to View and tile my views. Let's make this a bit tidier so we can see everything. And zoom so that we can see our different views. Click on the Create tab and Family Types. Here I'm going to start changing my parameters to see what happens with my family. Select the diffuser width and change it and click on Apply. And we can see a change in our diffuser. Let's try the diffuser height. Nothing happens, and that's because we haven't constrained our diffuser. Let's take a look at the front elevation. Here's the extrusion we made, and here's the reference plane. So the extrusion needs to be controlled by the reference plane. If we use the Align tool, we can select the reference plane, then the extrusion, and constrain the extrusion to the reference plane. So if we go back to our tiled views and look at the family types, we can change our dimension for height. Click on Apply and see the change. So let's go back to our plan view and complete this exercise by clicking on Create and Blend. A blend is a form of two sketches that form the base and the top. Here I'm going to create a sketch for the base, and it's going to go in the same location as our previous sketch. But what I really want to make sure is that we're not using the lines from the extrusion. So let's cancel this for the time being. Select the extrusion, and from my view control bar, hide that in the view so I can only see my reference planes. Go back to the Create tab, click on Blend, create my bottom sketch, lock it, and then click on Edit Top. I can now go through the process of creating the sketch for the top. Let's try a different method. Use the Pick Line tool, and from the Options bar, click on Lock. So I pick the reference planes, and the sketch is immediately locked to the reference plane. What I have to do is use the Trim and Extend tool to just trim those lines back again. Now that I've finished that sketch, I can click on Finish Edit Mode and go back to my tiled views. Where it looked okay in plan, in 3D, and in elevation, it doesn't look so good. In just the same way as I did in the plan view, in the elevation, I'm going to hide the base extrusion. Now I'm going to use the Align tool to align the base of my blend and lock it, and the top of my blend and lock it. Go to Family Types, and let's try manipulating those dimensions. Click on Apply, Diffuser Width, click on Apply, Diffuser Height, and click on Apply. So these dimensions all work, and we're ready to move on to the next stage.